Hello, everybody. Welcome to the ManAlone YouTube hour, I guess. I'm ManAlone, and this is a solo RPG channel. And today we're going to talk about something that is, I think, relevant to solo RPGs. Now, this is my second run at making the video. The first run, which I'm certain you'd all love to see, I was kind of angry. I was kind of getting upset about stuff, and I didn't think it was a good look. But hey, maybe I'll release it to members. You know, anything to sort of emotionally blackmail people into joining YouTube membership, which you can, of course, hit below by pressing join asterisk. I don't know if I'll release that. It's really not a good video. It's not very long, and I wasn't making my point very well. And the point I was trying to make, I guess several points, was about Kickstarter. Now, you're probably wondering why I have Pendragon in front of me. I want to play Pendragon. It has nothing to do with the video, and I sat down to do a video on Pendragon and then realized I needed to give this one another try because it's all around us. It's in our water supply. It's in our hearts. It's in our minds. It whispers in our ear as we sleep. And, of course, I'm talking about Kickstarter. Now, this morning, when I woke up, I had an email at 6:07 a.m. And that email was about a new Kickstarter based on Terry Pratchett's Discworld. Now, I love Discworld. I love Terry Pratchett. And I love, you know what? I'll even go so far as to say I'm quite fond of Modiphius, the producer of this game, and they're, I guess I don't even know how it works between them and Free League. What are they, like Free League's Care Bear cousin, their distributor? I don't know, but you know, I have positive feelings towards a lot of Modiphius's games, and so I clicked on it. Nice little hardcover special edition here with this very MC Escher-ish sort of cover here that you can get as a special edition through this Kickstarter. And you know, I'm looking through this, and I'm sort of, you know, I'm looking at these different possibilities here for the different packages that you can get, and they have a quick start guide, which you could check that out if you go on there. I think it's 43 pages. And so I'm looking at the different options like I often do. And for 40 pounds, I can pick up a PDF copy, it looks like. Yeah. PDF of the core rulebook, the Game Master's Toolkit, and a campaign adventure. And so, of course, you know, it's like in my mind, and I imagine some of you are also like this, it's like if I'm shelling out $50 US, I'm getting a book, right? I'm not getting a PDF. And so I'm looking at the book options. Okay, 50 pounds for the Sergeant at Arms. You get the PDF and hardback of the core rulebook, and you get these a dice set for the game. And then it goes up from there. At 80 pounds, you can get the special edition cover, and you know, and I'm looking through this, all the different stretch goals and everything, and I get to a point, I'm trying to find it now, that, okay, French edition of the game will be crowdfunded separately. So I first see this planned schedule here. So it looks like the whole thing's going to be fulfilled by August 25, which is 10 months away. Which actually, as far as Kickstarters go, is pretty early, honestly. I get to this part, the retailer pledge. The books and accessories in this Kickstarter are exclusive to the backers of this project, and a different design for retail offering will be available for retailers after this project is fulfilled, including a digest rulebook and starter set. Therefore, we are not offering retail pledges. So sometimes there will be offers to do retail pledges. If you know you own a game store for $500, you can get several copies of it or whatever. Now I don't know if this is sort of standard, standard fare for a Kickstarter or something that is normal. In fact, I'm certain that it is, But for whatever reason, it like triggered some sort of. I had a bad time. I started having a bad feeling because I realized a couple of things. Number one, I've been following Kickstarter for a long time. I think I kickstarted Tom's shoes or something. Remember those? It's like for every pair of shoes you buy, we'll tie someone else's shoes or whatever. And so I probably since the beginning, I think I've been kickstarting, and every day I'm kickstarting. So yeah, I've been at this a long time, and I've noticed more and more that there are starting to be pieces of the products that are only available through Kickstarter. And it used to be like you get a special book cover or you get nice dice or something. But as time goes on, it's like there are Kickstarters where you're only getting certain materials for a game through the Kickstarter. Okay? And that, if you don't get it through the Kickstarter, you'll never get it. And, even with the collector's cover and stuff, I kind of see that like within bounds, although it would really make me sad if I was a collector trying to collect everything. Like I can see myself getting obsessed with Coriolis and wanting every supplement. And even now I have to hunt this stuff down because I just wasn't in the space when it started kickstarting or whatever it did in 2017. And so there was no chance for me to buy this stuff. And so some of this stuff is just not available anymore. Now it's like, boo-hoo, you don't get your little collector's treats. It's bigger than that, okay? So a couple things started compounding here. And originally, I think the reason why I needed to redo this video is because I was centering this on Modiphius, and it's really not Modiphius. It is Modiphius in a sense, but it's bigger than that. So let's just keep going. I want to show some other stuff. So the other thing I notice here is that the writing and design is not going to be done till January. Okay. So this is October 15th, October to November, December. That's about 3 months away. All right. And then you don't get a PDF till June. It's like 8 months, and you don't get the book till August. And I also started thinking about some of these prices, like this, to get the book, it's 50 pounds, which is about $72 American for a hardcover book and some dice. It is a book that I don't get for a year and some dice. And then I started thinking bigger about this. Now, at the time that I was recording this, I got this email at 6:07. I started recording pretty quickly, and I had recorded about a half an hour or maybe 40 minutes. And by the end of it, in that time, the funding goal was 100,000. They had broken through that. And by the time I just stopped recording and went to have breakfast, it was up to like $150,000. And it is now at $891,000. So that is in, unless I'm in like some sort of time warp here, I think that was this morning. I took a long nap, but it was, it's less than 24 hours, $891,000. And I think we need to start talking about Kickstarter. Now I have been thinking about a video in terms of like how to set boundaries around Kickstarters or how to set boundaries around buying games or stuff, altogether. But I was struck in the middle of that as I was making that there are forces at play that are not necessarily like manipulative or dishonest, but they are intentionally, they create certain psychological states that are anti-consumer, I guess is the word. Like they're anti-consumer, and they have a anti-consumerism that is plausibly deniable for several reasons. And I think they hide behind a lot of these things. And I wanted to make this video to talk about these things, risking the fact that I don't know, I would not consider myself an expert on like supply side economics. I wouldn't be able to tell you the ins and outs of the business model of Kickstarter. I know a basic understanding of it just from using it a bunch of times. And I know, here's what I do. I do know how it feels like to be on the other side of this. And surprisingly, there's not too many videos about this that I can find. I also might be wrong about some things, so I'm relying a lot on optics and my own impression. So I'm risking kind of, getting pwned in the comments, which I'm open to other points of view on this or other ideas, things that I did not consider. But I just wanted to talk about it so that it gets brought out into the light a little bit, so that some people can start thinking about this a little more, because I think the Overton window on Kickstarter has shifted and a lot of us have not realized it. And so we're approaching Kickstarter under an old mental model that no longer conforms to what is actually happening there. So the first thing I want to say to that extent is, and this is a tough question to say. This is tough getting this out of my lips here, but why do we need a Discworld RPG? Right? Like, I love Discworld. I think it's hilarious. It is one of the few things that like makes me laugh out loud when I am alone. It is any sort of satirical RPGs do worry me, because I could tell you the tabletop RPG world is full of people that have an unfortunate combination of like a high level of certainty that they are funny, but a very low level of actual funniness. And so now you're going to have like a slapstick sort of thing in a hobby that's already become quite slapstick and does not, as you commonly embrace the reality of the character, which is where a lot of the immersion comes from. But bigger than that, it's like, what sort of like change in the market space or something? Is there a bunch of people that I didn't know about that are like going to the Hague or to march on Congress to say that like we want our Discworld RPG and we're not going to take it anymore? Because I feel more and more. Look, you ever see something like this before? Look at the GM screen. Artwork to be confirmed. Here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing IPs getting snatched up that have a high level of something on them. Walking Dead is a good example by Free League. It has a lot of name recognition. But it has what I like to call the Red Hot Chili Peppers effect, which is like everybody knows the Red Hot Chili Peppers and everybody knows a song by them. But I've never met somebody who like loves the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I've never seen someone who's like, man, when I listen to the Peppers, I just like go to another world. I think mostly people, it's like if I was at a music festival and they were there, I'd be like, oh, cool. See like Anthony Kiedis and Flea. But there's not like, I don't know of many people that like have a hard day and throw on the RCP and lay on their bed and just kind of let it all go, man. Especially not to the extent of like somebody who follows Fish, or certainly not to the level of a juggalo. That's dedication. And so you have these things that have this sort of name check recognition, and somehow these companies, which I think were shut out very often of a lot of mainstream inclusion, they're able to snatch these IPs up that have name recognition. And I'm sure that they have a certain window that they're allowed to use them. And then they go, all right, let's put a game out, and what is difficult is, and you can read through the rule book, the starter kit. It's free, so you can go on this and see it, and it definitely has like, how shall we say, Discworld vibes. It's definitely like has a sheen, a gloss of Discworld. Like it has a lot of cheekiness and a sort of Hitchhiker's Guide type of cosmology, and a plays by its own rules, and those rules are silly nilly when they need to be. And look, I think that's what I like about it. But the system, as you're reading through it's like, okay, here's how you play this game. Is you take they're called traits, and you roll a dice, and then you got to determine which dice you roll. And then there's like a certain level that dice has to beat when added with your traits. And if you do, you succeeded. It's like, okay, thank you. That is like we have that down. We know how that goes. So there's not a revolutionary system in place. And it's also an IP, which, like, the whole thing with IPs really, with some exception, there are some games that do this well, that give you flexibility. And I've stated this before, but in general, I don't really like playing in IPs because they feel very limiting. They feel like, as a GM, I've got to like balance the considerations of the wider lore. I can't just like take a left turn. And, if I'm playing in the Alien universe, I can't like suddenly bring in some other element that maybe is not Geiger-esque enough. And so I don't like the constraints of that as it is. And I also feel like that there is a notion that plugging a game into an IP or an IP into a game is going to enrich it, like infuse it with creativity, when in reality, it just puts constraints around it, like limits around it. And you were far better off taking a familiar mechanical system that and just stapling on the lore that and you are comfortable with and that you are familiar with. I am uncertain that playing, the Discworld RPG is going to be a better experience than somebody pulling 5e, Pathfinder 2e, Year Zero, any of these systems, and just sort of like making a campaign using an SRD. And so what they're really selling here is an IP, a brand patch, and they're also selling things that look cool. So from that extent, it's like, if you just think this looks cool, then great. Like, it looks cool and you should get it. And if you like it and you want it on your shelf, that's great. If you don't care what I've said and you just want to like pick up anything Discworld, great. But that's not really what's being sold here. What's being sold here is like a whole universe of possibility. There is this game, and at this point it could be anything because they haven't even written it yet. And we're going to do it on Kickstarter. And look, Kickstarter, look at this. It says it right up top here. Kickstarter, look on the left here. Kickstarter connects creators with backers to fund projects. Yeah, creators. Like, I understand that the genus species definition of creator is like a human or group of humans that create something. But there is something appreciably different between Modiphius and like my Aunt Peggy. Like, my Aunt Peggy would really love to kickstart some home knitted Afghans, but like, she doesn't have the distribution to get those blankets out, and she doesn't know who to talk to package them, and she needs some help coming up with a label, and she also doesn't know anybody other than the 10 people that she sees every day from her house to the post office. And so, gee whiz, isn't Kickstarter great to connect her? There's something different than Modiphius, who has, I think, a physical plant. Like, there is like a Modiphius headquarters, right? Where's their headquarters at? Yeah, it's in Fulham, London. Okay, Fulham, I'm American. And so, I think there was a time 12 years ago when they're just kickstarting Achtung Cthulhu, that it's like, God bless, you're getting this off the ground. But I'm starting to wonder more and more about these Kickstarters as this in like real time right now approaches, 890. It's about to approach $900,000 with 5,300 backers. Now, I don't believe that people that kickstart this game are not going to kickstart another game because of that. It's not like that. It's not like eggs and milk and petrol, where it's like, well, I've got to get this somewhere. What is it, like price inelastic or whatever? Like, it is not that clear of like a sum game, right? It's not like, you take money out of Discworld and then you put it into some small artist who is like printing a zine and is kickstarting it for the first time. However, it is reasonable to ask if this is the intention of Kickstarter, or if we are sort of, if we are taking that old feeling, that old vaporous specter of what Kickstarter once was, which was like a place for small businesses and independent producers to like get their stuff out there, to something that is fundamentally a dispersion of investor risk that is put directly onto the consumer rather than onto an angel investor or a company taking out a loan or something like that. Because functionally, it is hard to say that Kickstarter is like a pro-social company at this point, but I think they benefit from that that sort of gloss. They benefit from that remainder, that reputation of being this place that supports starving artists. And so because of that, it creates this system that I think is, they don't really take advantage of it as much as they could. It's a little refresh here. Sorry, I lost my sentence here because I was refreshing the screen. They take advantage of the fact that people feel like, okay, well, I'm not just buying a product, I'm also supporting a creator to like have their ideas see the light of day, and this wouldn't be possible otherwise. And in a way that's true, because if it was only up to investors, we might never see Discworld the RPG. Right? And so it's like up to the people to come together, and like the people have spoken. And yeah, $72 in any other circumstance, we would find that incredibly egregious to purchase something that is not an antique or has some other sort of weird value to it. Like if we went into a bookstore and we said, hey, what's that new Stephen King joint? As if Stephen King was still somebody I wanted to read. But I say, hey, can I check out the new Stephen King book? And they say, yeah, it's $72. I'd say, you're mistaken. Yeah, no, it's $72. And if you pay now, we'll give it to you in 10 months. And he hasn't written it yet. And but don't worry. If we don't raise a certain amount of money, no one gets it. But if we do, then everyone gets it. Except that you don't know what you're getting. I mean, you have a picture of it. And what is sort of like, I think part of what was like galling here as well was the fact that this picture, and I get it, like artwork to be confirmed, but it's just like they're not even pretending anymore. They don't know. You don't have any idea what this final product is. You don't have any idea. It's a car that has no engine, that you've never driven. And you have to assume the risk of it. You have to assume the risk that the money that you put forward, that you are essentially losing money on, and I know it's like, how much interest am I going to get with $72? But it's the principle of it. I'm going to lose my ability to hang on to my money because I'm gambling on the fact that A, you will finish it, and that happens way too much. Where I pay money and then suddenly I am in a close and personal, intimate relationship with this creator over the course of 18 months, when all I really wanted was them to give me item, and suddenly I'm listening to sob stories about, their distributors and stuff. And we've lost our minds, I think, in the RPG community around what we're willing to tolerate in this respect. Like, go on Reddit, look at anybody who complains about a Kickstarter not performing in any way that they think that they deserve, and they will get thrashed. They will get absolutely thrashed to say, hey, they're trying their best. What do you expect? You assumed the risk, right? That's the biggest one. You assumed the risk. Isn't that funny? Like, see, I'm getting myself upset again. Isn't it interesting that for some things, people are so willing to be like, no, this model is predatory, or like, no, even though the person assumed the risk, they weren't really able to understand the risk that they were assuming. But with other things, people just become like contract lawyers, right? Because it's like, hey, look, you assume the risk. You read the fine print here, and you understood that this book, I mean, let's be honest, and this is not going to happen because let me just say this, in all my experiences with Free League and Modifius, they always come through on this. They're going to make a good product here, and that's why this is a hard video for me to make, because I don't want this to be something against just Modifius. And honestly, Modifius was started by a husband-wife team like 12 years ago, right? And so I can understand, like, if this was like Modifius's last go at this kind of thing, I think that I would understand that. But if it is, it's good, because they need to move on. This isn't fair anymore. And it's not fair to the consumers, and it's not fair to Alex T. And I know he wouldn't want me to say this, but Alex T, who made Ruthless Heavens, Boundless Fate, this hardcover book, which I don't, I imagine that it's probably going to be slightly bigger that from the look of it than this Discworld book. This was $45 to kickstart, and he kickstarted 13,000 euro, which is like what, 15,000 US dollars. And Alex T, let me just say this, very often people don't even cover the costs of these things. And so I'm wondering why I'm feeling the way I do at 6:07 a.m. about a Discworld RPG that apparently the people have been clamoring for. I gotta have my Discworld RPG or else I'm going to throw a fit. And I say, well, it must all be my fault. It must be my fault that I'm feeling all of this FOMO, and it must be my fault that I'm such a consumer that I need this stuff. And it must be my fault. I must be greedy that I don't want to give $72 to a game company. I mean, look, it's not like it's T-Mobile. It's not like it's Pepsi. We got to really help these people out. No, you don't. You need to help yourself out, and you need to help your family out, and you need to worry about other people later. And certainly when it comes to, sorry to say it, I mean, this is my stock and trade really here on this YouTube, but like, especially regarding games, Okay. You're going to kickstart some milk and baking powder and grandma's cough syrup. I mean, you just wouldn't do it. You wouldn't assume that level of risk. And not only that, you'd say, this risk has nothing to do with me. I'm nothing. Just when the product's ready, sell it to me. And if it's a good enough product, I'll buy it. And that is what motivates people to create a good product. Because again, even though this is going to be a fine game, but technically, what prevents them from taking what you see in this picture right now and making a book that has 3 words per page? What recourse do you have? You'll say, well, this is junk. You didn't give, this is 3 words per page. And you go, look, we never said how many words there would be on a page. And then, we wanted there to be a child's storybook approach to this. Some garbage like this sort of mystification that happens when people give you less and you pay more. And I think it's really hurting the community. It's creating a lot of FOMO, and it is very typical. And again, that Overton window has shifted so that we just think that this is normal. That I would love to hear some grognards chime in on this, some people that have been doing this for 30 years. Did you have 5,000 RPGs come out a year? Did you have major gaming companies producing these things? And yes, there's all kinds of reasons why that didn't happen, right? But the reality is like progress doesn't always mean that we have to just start creating more and more and more product lines. And this is going to seem a bit absurd to bring it into this, but hospitals, remember, like when you were a kid, even there was like a hospital near your house that everyone went to. And now there's billboards for hospitals. And now there's hospitals that are telling you to come in to their physiatry department. You don't even know what physiatry is. And then there's no local hospitals. They're all conglomerates. Like, this is where this is heading, is that if we keep allowing this sort of paradigm to be the paradigm that works, then everything is going to congeal into Disney. Like, you do realize that, right? I mean, bookmark the video. Check it in 25 years. Let me know. I'll bet you a silver dollar. I'll bet 73 of them so that you could pick up a Discworld game. It is a shift of assumed risk. The consumer on Kickstarter has 100% of the risk. If the game producer does not produce the game, do you know what their penalty is? They have to give the money back. That wasn't theirs in the first place. And hey, between you and me and the wall and everyone else here who's experienced this, they don't always give the money back. Sometimes they'll tell you that they've just had a terrible turn of luck and they need to keep the money. And look, like, if that happens, that's up between you and God, whether you're going to do that or not. And I think it's good to help people out and be understanding and be merciful to people, of course. But you have to admit there's some sort of central derangement going on here, because try to fit this into any other industry. I blew out a tire the other day, front right tire. I went to Just Tires. I need a tire. Okay, well, we have this tire that's coming in 10 months. And some of them it's a year and a half. And we'll just keep you posted with updates. I mean, maybe that's even like too absurd. Like, that's too far, because it's an immediate thing. So let's bring it like closer to what we might want to think about here. Say you went and bought a car. You don't need one. Your Toyota Corolla is doing fine. But suddenly you see this new thing that's like a Toyota Corolla Clear and Present Danger. We've gotten the Clear and Present Danger IP with Harrison Ford, and we're doing Clear and Present Danger edition Toyota Corollas. It's our 5th one this year. I hope you all, if those of you who didn't get on the ground floor on our Steven Seagal Under Siege Toyota Corolla. Well, we've got Clear and Present Danger, the absolute banger of a movie from 1998. What does Clear and Present Danger have on Rotten Tomatoes? I'll never forget. I was in a theater. I was in like 7th, 8th grade. And at one point, Harrison Ford went, "We have a clear and present danger." All right, I'll get off traffic. 1994. 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb. So we got a Clear and Present Danger Toyota Corolla. And so you come in, you look at it, and we say, "Cool, man. Looks good. I really like this design." And looks like you got Harrison Ford, and you got the American flag there. That looks really great. And you even got who the hell was in that? Was that Willem Dafoe is in that, weirdly. James Earl Jones. Dang, I gotta watch Clear and Present Danger. You say it looks great. It's got the Willem Dafoe fender and the James Earl Jones dual antennas, and you say, "Great, let's can I see the engine?" They go, "We don't, not yet. That'll be done in 3 months." You say, "Okay, can we take it for a test drive?" We have a virtual reality one where you can go 43 feet in it. And you say, "Well, you know what? Hey, looks cool. And I certainly love Toyota Corollas, and I love Toyota, so that's great. So where can I go sign the papers?" Can't sign the papers. Got to wait 10 months. 10 months, I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll send it to you after 10 months. We hope. We might need to delay it a little bit. And by the time you get it, you'll forget. But don't worry, because one day you'll wake up and there'll be this car, and you have no idea how many miles per gallon it has, and you have no idea how many people it seats, and whether it has automatic windows. I mean, shall I keep torturing everybody with this? It is, I hope. I actually was sort of enjoying it, but I'll pull myself away from it to say, you'd never do that. You'd never do that. What would you say? You'd say, "No, let me know when you're done with the car and I will come pick it up." Now, if this was a go-kart and it was made by a 13-year-old named Jeffrey Tinsley, and Jeffrey said, "Hey, I have this really cool idea of how to make this new go-kart, and I grew up, middle class, and I don't have anybody who will loan me the money, and I need some help." You know what, Jeffrey? I am very happy to give you $73. And I say, you promise me you're gonna give me that go-kart? It's one of those things where it's like, "Now you're gonna come through, right, young man? Because that's what I expect." Jeffrey says, "I solemnly swear, sir, I promise I'm gonna give it my best." And I say, "Okay." And in my head, I know it's a kid. He's got a good pitch here. He's a good guy. He's gonna do his best, right? And I give that money. I give that money gladly. And so then I give that money, and Jeffrey's dad, Mr. Tinsley, comes and's like, "Hey, man, can I get $730? And I'm like, "What?" He says, "Well, I'm trying to pitch this new Toyota Corolla." And we say, "No, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen." There is, now, look, we can say this is the way that it is, but I really do feel, my senses, the optics of this is that Kickstarter, that there are certain game distributors that are wildly successful as far as game distributors go. I know that game distribution is not, you're never going to retire and have your own home in the French Riviera or whatever, but these are some of the top brands. I mean, yes, like if Wizards of the Coast was doing this, and I don't even know what they do, but I would hope that there would be a mass uprising. But even a place like Modiphius has a lot of resources. And so should they be using Kickstarter, and should Kickstarter be used in that way? And is that the best way for Modiphius to be supporting this hobby? And if we don't feel like they should be supporting this hobby, then that's fine. But I just always find it interesting that just about everyone in this hobby wants to like, you know, live on a Rousseauian commune. But when it comes to this kind of stuff, they are just madcap capitalists that just will take their, it's a blood sport. And I just don't get it, because it is very interesting to me that I cannot complain about this stuff. There's only certain people and certain levels of things that you can complain about. And I'm not allowed to complain about a creator on a Kickstarter. Doesn't that tell you something? Doesn't that tell you that there's like a golden goose here? What's that phrase? Like, if you want to find out who is in control, figure out which person you're not allowed to make fun of. Right? So just like think about that. And I don't really know. Like, I just wanted to I wanted to share my feelings on this, and I'm sure that there's going to be some real people pushing their glasses up the bridge of their nose in the comments, being like, actually, and that's fine. But the point is that this feels wrong. Perhaps Kickstarter should have another bracket for people like this. Perhaps Kickstarter should create a different wing that deals with people over a certain level of income or organization. But I'll tell you what, and I'm getting mad again, and I promised myself I wouldn't, but I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off that Alex T kickstarts 13,000 euros for this book that, man, I know there's no accounting for taste, but I'll bet you any money this Ruthless Heaven's Boundless Fate is better than Discworld the game. And then think about how many people are going to buy this game and not play it. And there's this cultivation of this FOMO, and you got a ticking clock, and you got so many days left to buy it. And people go, I guess I got to do it, because maybe I'll never be able to get it again, or I'll never be able to get it in this format, And so they do it, and people are like, they think that's a bug, but that's a feature, not a bug. That is part of the sort of gray text here. It's part of the subliminal psychological manipulation to get you to click that buy thing and back that project. And it's not like backing the project is going to, raise the temperature of the Atlantic Ocean by 2 degrees. It's not bad. It's cool. Like, whatever. Get games. Have fun. Modiphius, you're not going to watch this video. But if you do, like, if you're realistic, I'm not ragging on you. You're using the service that is available to you. But I think that if we have any responsibility as sort of the consumers in this hobby, I think we need to start saying no. And perhaps it is a pack of Kool-Aid in the Pacific Ocean to say this, but I'm not backing Discworld, the RPG. I'm not going to back it. And I want to back it. I felt like I wanted to back. I read the other day. I was just laying on the couch reading some Discworld. Like, I just picked up one of the mass market paperbacks off my shelf and just read it because I enjoy it so much. But no, I'm not going. There doesn't need to be a Discworld RPG. And I don't need to spend $72 on it. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with this one. If you have half a brain, you're going to understand that. But what I am saying is we need to start figuring out a system to say no and sort of retrain the production end of this system. Okay? If it is literally still you and your wife, and you are making these books out of the back of your house, and your back den is filled with packaging, kickstart the shit out of anything you got. Go for it. Let me know. I'll help if I can, as long as you join as a member for only $3.99 a month. I will kickstart it if I can, and I think it's a good product and I like it. But if you have like a profit margin of, and I don't even know if this is public, but, and I don't, again, man, I'm beating up on Modiphius. So, I don't know how much they make, and I don't want, All right. I don't know if this is a reliable source, but pomanda.com. And who knows? Because you ever do those searches online where you look up your name and it's like, this person, there's one that says that I'm like 81 years old and that I live in like Micronesia or something. But this one here says that Modiphius Entertainment is located in London, and it has a company's house number, and it operates in the publishing activities sector, and it was founded in January 2013. Its largest shareholder is Christopher Lee Birch with a 47.5% stake. It is an established mid-sized company, and Pomanda has estimated its turnover at $5.5 million with rapid growth. If that is true, and that's even close to being true, go get an investor. Go to the bank. Take out a loan. Don't make your consumers, don't make your customers take on this risk. Go to the bank. And then we can decide if we want to buy it. But there's too good of a system. Kickstarter has too much of a patina of something special. It feels special to kickstart something. It feels like you're really doing something. I'm really doing it, Dad. I'm kickstarting everything. And I think we need to just start being sort of more serious about this. We need to start being more discriminating about this. And we need to have some rules. And I would say the number one rule that I'm going to have is if you didn't finish writing it, I'm not kickstarting it. No way. You didn't finish writing it, I'm not kickstarting it. Number two, I don't want to be pressure sold. So if you have a feature of the game that I can only get through Kickstarter, I'm not doing it. You're bullying me. You're bullying me into making a low information decision in which I will pre-invest from you with oh my gosh, this is where it comes in. 100% of risk and 0 dividends. I mean, let's just think about this for a second. Economists, capitalists of the community, 0 dividends. You don't get any profit. You think when one of these huge investment companies gives somebody money to make a game that they don't get some commensurate reward? You don't think that? You can say like, oh, you get these bonus things. Do you really think those like bonus that I get 2 free bookmarks? Do you think that is the only profit of what they're going to make off this Kickstarter? That they're not going to sell those things for years and years to come? 100% risk, 0% of dividends. I got mad again. I told myself I wasn't going to get mad. But we have to start talking about this. We have to bring this out into the light here because I am very fortunate I'm 40 years old, okay? I pay all my bills, and then I have a lump, I put money in savings. I put money in my retirement. And then at the end of the month, I have this little pile of money that, I don't need it for groceries. I don't need it for gas. And I got this funny money. And I say, okay, this funny money is just for me, right? And I get to spend, and really, the sad thing is, even at this age, like after you pay everything, and yes, I know some of it's savings and 401k and all that, but like my funny money is only a few $100, $200 or $300. And then the best part about this channel is that I get an additional $100-$200 from that to also add to funny money so that I can buy more than I normally would be able to were I just paying out of my pocket. And I'm able to pick up Pendragon in the starter set, even though I can't play it because every time I sit down to make a video for it, something else comes up. And so, I think we just need to consider here. I'm not saying no. I don't think we should say no to these companies kickstarting everything. I do think we need to say, slow down. Okay, just slow down. Especially when you have products that are far from perfect. And this is another sort of like symptomology that happens is there's this frenzy to put out all these different campaign books and all this different stuff. And yet, there are pieces of certain core game books that don't even work, that are missing critical pieces that people are having to knit themselves in forums and things like that. And I just feel like it's gotten to the point where we're sort of like people are losing their mind and forgetting that they're to advocate for themselves as consumers. Do I think Modiphius is counting money hand over fist? No, but my point is they're growing, and companies do not earn growth unless they earn it. And instead we are prepaying for something because they're making us hype about it with a video and some pictures. We're prepaying for that and letting them play with our money. So I think it's useful every once in a while to say, slow down, chill. Thank you very much. I have to go because Pomanda is asking me if Modiphius is my company. He said, sorry to bother you. Is this your company? How in the hell? I better get going. It's getting wild in here. Thanks for listening. I wonder how I set up a profile on Pomanda. Is it like the new Google Wave? It's like, oh yeah, call me sometimes. Yeah, man, just let me know. See you on Pomanda. See you on Pomanda. LinkedIn.